Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And in this video, we're going to have a nice discussion about the current MVP race. There's several names that have been thrown, into the, really really strong group of contenders. There's been a lot of other people that are kind of considered dark horses that people are saying don't count out these guys yet. A couple running backs, even some other quarterbacks in the top two that are still kind of in that discussion. So we're going to talk about those who we think is the front runner, but also some dark horses that maybe depending on how the season ends could make a late run for this thing.
Yeah, and Ryan, you talked about how there's dark horse candidates, but if you've been paying attention to this MVP race, at this point, it's basically between two names right now. That's Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and that's Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Those are the two guys that are really in major contention for the award. There are still weeks left of the NFL season and the postseason for people to really up their play and throw their name into the conversation with better play. But I think we're pretty confident across the table. It's probably going to be Rodgers or Mahomes, but we're still going to talk about some other guys that, they're not quarterbacks, some of them, and they're still having phenomenal seasons, and they definitely deserve to be thrown into this most valuable conversation because they are very good players and they're doing a lot for their team. So, with that being said, when you guys can start with one of the players.
Well, we'll work our way up to those final two guys you talked about, Mahomes and Rodgers. We'll get to them eventually, and then we'll discuss which one of them for us right now is the MVP pick for us. But early on in the year, it seemed like the unanimous MVP was going to be Russell Wilson. And since then, he's really started to slow down. It hasn't been great in the last few weeks for him. And I don't know, around week 8. I mean, he's been better, but he's been turning the ball over more. He has 12 interceptions this year, 36 touchdowns, 3,685 yards. So not bad statistically, but he started off so well and kind of took himself out of the MVP race, but still has a chance to get back in it if he could play like he did in the first couple.
Well, I mean, everything you just said could have been said for years before because this guy, at the beginning of every season, he's throwing his name into the conversation and he's atop the conversation because of his play early on in seasons, and then he just kind of declines as it goes on. The turnovers were a big reason of why this happened. And also, just the whole Seahawks offense has looked different than it did when it started. Before, it was Russell Wilson throwing the ball a lot, and that was really working for them. Now it's turned into an equal mix of run and pass, which I think down the stretch is going to be good for the Seahawks offense because Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde, both really good running backs, both doing some really good things right now. And also at the wide receiver position, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, a great duo of wide receivers, along with Russell Wilson. That's going to really help them down the stretch come playoff time when you want to be a more balanced team. But this team has evolved, and I think the evolution of this team, being the Seahawks and their offense, and the turnovers from Russell Wilson is really what's taken his name down the list.
Yeah, and I don't think he's playing horribly. I think he's still a lot of times playing well using his weapon. He's got two great receivers there in Seattle. He's definitely a very essential part of this team's success and a big reason why they are sitting where they are right now. But I mean, you just look at what some of the other guys have done in front of him. They've just played a lot better, and like we've mentioned, consistently, and like we mentioned at the beginning of the video, it is at least right now feeling like a two-man race, but there's still a little bit of the regular season, and then obviously the postseason. The postseason, where legends are made. That if you do something big in the postseason, that can certainly go a long way with how you remember, but also with this award specifically for this year. So I wouldn't count out Russell Wilson just yet, and I say that mainly because of the way he started the year. If he can get back to that, especially in the bright lights in the postseason, I'm not ruling out Russell Wilson. I don't think he's a front runner, but I think if he plays like he did at the beginning of the year, that first quarter, first third maybe of the year, he can definitely put his name back in this conversation.
There's a lot of work to be done, but he's a phenomenal player, and we all know he has the capacity to do it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and by the way, these stats we're reading are after week 15 of the NFL. So you guys already saw week 16, so they've changed since then. But that's just a side note here. So let's talk about our next
pre-record videos.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Next quarterback we're going to talk about is Josh Allen. He's a guy that people are still saying should be very much in the conversation.
Especially this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even Ryan, who is a huge fan of Josh Allen, I like Josh Allen. Jordan likes Josh Allen. But we all just don't think he should be right now in the conversation with Rodgers and Mahomes. He's had a very good season, though. You got to hand it to him. 3,641 yards, 68.6 completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, so not the greatest, and 9 interceptions. He had a portion of a season where he kind of fell down, and now he's back again. Kind of like Russell Wilson, very similar. kind of in the style they play too. Now Josh Allen becoming more of a runner, and that's been a huge part of his game as well. He's able to do so much with his legs, with his arm. We know how strong his arm is, how far he can throw the ball. He's gotten a lot more accurate this year, and that helps having a receiver with Diggs. But he's looked really good this year, and I don't think he's going to win MVP, but he's definitely one of the top guys in the race.
And his evolution this year has been something really fascinating to watch as well. Last year, he was more of a quarterback that sometimes had to depend on his feet, depend on his mobility in certain situations. There were knocks on his accuracy. We all know he had the arm power, but there were knocks on Josh Allen, and through this season, through the start, and through where we are right now, he's really shut that down. He's become a lot more accurate. For most of the time, he knows when to throw the ball away. He throws accurate, like I said. Sometimes he takes unnecessary hits, but I mean, he likes to run the ball. He's good at it. So I think the evolution of Josh Allen this year is something that I expected to see, and this guy right next to me, who's going to talk about Josh Allen a bit more, expected to see as well.
Yeah, I think it's been really great to see, the development, as you said, this year for Josh Allen. We knew last year, we knew coming out of the draft, when he was with Wyoming, we knew, he had, the physical traits. We knew he could, be mobile. We knew he had this rocket arm. We knew he was this, big physical guy who could, take some hits. But in year 3 in his career, he's really developing with, the mental things, the football IQ, the decision making, knowing that, yes, I have this rocket arm, but if I have to take a sack or throw it away, that's okay. You don't have to get it all in one play. I think Sean McDermott's done a great job with that Bills team, and Josh Allen, with the addition of Stephon Diggs, with the other receivers and weapons that they had. I know John Brown's been hurt, but still, he's done a good job with the other guys that he has had. And even the running backs, too. They've got Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, who they've used in the short passing game a little bit. So I think Josh Allen, this is a player award MVP, but the reason Josh Allen is still, alive in this MVP race, I think it's because of the coaching staff and that management in Buffalo has really put him in a situation to succeed, built that offense around him and his skill set, and just developed him to one of the better quarterbacks in our league in just his 3rd year.
Yeah, I really like Josh Allen, and I was excited watching him to be able to watch him play this season, see the progression. I'm going to be really excited to see him watch him play the rest of this season and throughout the rest of his career, because I think he's be a pretty darn good quarterback.
Even next year, I could definitely see him maybe getting
Absolutely. I don't
another
think he's
step
reached
up
his
and maybe
ceiling.
winning this MVP award next year.
Maybe
But before we get to those top 2 guys who Jordan mentioned, Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes,
There's still other guys.
I was just trying to think of maybe non-quarterbacks that could possibly get it. And Jordan, you can go. I have a couple on my screen here.
All right, well, Ryan has this one up on his tablet, I guess. But I probably would have said it anyways, and that's Derrick Henry. He's having another phenomenal season, no question about it. I think he leads rushing by a lot at this point. I think he has a shot.
1,532 yards and 14 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook also has 14 touchdowns.
Yeah, and what I was going to say with that is I knew he had a bunch of rushing yards. So he's got a shot to go over the 2,000 rushing yards in one season mark. That would be an incredible feat from Derrick Henry. But he's having a phenomenal season. We all expected it. He did great last year. He's a big part of the Titans' success last year and this year again. Big physical runner. You've all watched Derrick Henry play. You know that if you were lined up on the other team trying to tackle that guy, you'd be scared out of your mind and probably running and peeing your pants as you were doing it, because he is a huge physical guy who's not afraid to run you over. He's also got decent speed for how big he is as well. Remember that 99-yard run? A big guy, you wouldn't think he'd be able to go that far, but he's got great speed. He's a great power back, and all those attributes are why he is such a good player and why he's done so good this season. He's not a quarterback, so unfortunately the MVP award has become more of a quarterback award.
It's now
but
the
he's
best
having
quarterback
himself
award.
a phenomenal a phenomenal year. And if you're talking about most valuable player, he definitely brings a lot of value to that Tennessee Titans team.
Yeah, and same thing with Dalvin Cook as we just roll through these non-quarterbacks before we get to the final 2. But like I mentioned before, 14 touchdowns for him after Week 15. Still more to go. He might have even scored against the Bears this week. Who knows? 1,352 yards this year, so a little less than what Derrick Henry had, but still very good. Mm-hmm. So both of those guys.
I got another one, by the way.
I got more too. So you go and then I'll go.
You got the guy up I was going to talk
Which
about.
one?
Both of those guys are good.
Him or him?
But I was going to him. But I was going to talk about Aaron Donald this year, and I think that it's between 2 guys. Tyler's got the other one up on his computer over there. It's between these 2 guys who are going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. There's really no question in my mind. I think Aaron Donald has had a phenomenal year. He's won the award a lot, and I think he's got a really good shot at doing it again. Look, it's boring for him to constantly win this award, but he is just so good. Many people will tell you that they think he's the best defensive player in the league, and honestly, I think it's hard to disagree with that. He is such a game changer. Teams have to double or triple block him. That leaves other spaces for other people like Leonard Floyd on that Rams defense. And even when he's getting blocked, double or triple team, he still breaks stuff. He's still a huge threat. He's strong. He likes to work. That's a great thing about Aaron Donald. He's just such a good player. And again, not a quarterback. In fact, he's a defensive player. Defensive players don't win it very often as well. And so he's probably not going to win the award. There's a decent shot he wins Defensive Player of the Year, though. And he's having himself another fantastic season.
He is, and I like how you mentioned, he might not always let up the stat sheet. He might not always, be, making
always
a play
about
every
stats.
play. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's lighting up the stat sheet. I'm not sure. It kind of depends. But the point is, like you mentioned, sometimes he's double teamed, triple teamed. The fact that, if you're playing an opponent and you can take away, 2 or 3 players, to block one of your players, that player for you is very valuable because it kind of, sets the tone for your defense and really, kind of makes the opposing offense kind of game plan around him. How do we stop him? And that opens up other guys to have windows to win their one-on-one matchups or to have an open lane for blitzing. So Aaron Donald, again, when you have these great defensive players, you might say, oh, why do they not have a lot of sacks? Why do they not have a lot of tackles? It's because usually they're being triple teamed. So
And a lot of times they still get those.
And a lot of times they do, which is the crazy thing. And I'm not saying Aaron Donald doesn't, make plays, which he does, but when he doesn't, that's usually why, because he's so valuable to that Rams defense that when you're playing the Rams, you say, okay, we got to stop him, even if that means letting some other guys, get in more open space.
Mm-hmm. He's made plays. He's got 12.5 sacks.
Absolutely.
The tackles have been down 22 solo this year, but that's like what you said. He's getting blocked so often, but he's a sack machine, and so is T.J. Watt. We can mention him very quickly as well. 12 sacks, only a half a sack behind Aaron Donald. 36 solo tackles, so better than Aaron Donald. So let that compare itself. Both those guys very much in the running. Good defensive play runs in that Watt family. We're seeing it now in TJ. We saw it for a long time in JJ.
Let's put Derek on defense.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's
a fullback. He's a physical guy.
That's true. But both these guys very much in the running for this award. I would not complain if either of the two got it.
I mean, with the way the Steelers
Trent
defense
Jordan
is going
Watt,
right now, he could be.
another guy who's in contention for the MVP. But let's talk about these final two now.
I want to talk about Trent Jordan real quick.
You want
to talk about Trent Jordan?
Yeah, feel free. I didn't know.
I did not know that was his name until right now. But yeah, I like Trent Jordan, or otherwise known as T.J. Watt. By the way, my name's Jordan, so connection right there. Yeah, I know. Big stuff. We made a great breakthrough at the touchdown table today. But I've loved the season he's had. He's a young player, and he's a fast guy off the edge. He's a guy that when you're looking at the film and you're getting ready to play the Steelers defense, even in a defense that's so stacked with many players who have gone down this year, but it's still a stacked defense. T.J. Watt is at top of the list of the guys that you're watching and saying, how do we stop this guy? We have to let other guys make plays. We cannot let this guy wreck our game. He is really, really taking a step up this year. It was between this guy, T.J. Watt, and the guy I chose, Bradley Chubb, who's having himself a sneaky, decent season this year with Von Miller being out. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be, but I just wanted to throw that information into there. But he is doing some great stuff this season. You turn on the film, he's really good, and he's a huge part of why that Steelers defense is having so much success.
All right. Well, you just made a Jordan comparison to T.J. Watt, and I just found this out. One of the two candidates for MVP, the top two, Patrick Mahomes, was born in Tyler, Texas, and guess what? My name is Tyler.
Wow.
Searching the internet for Ryan now.
Well, what do you know?
I mean, it's pretty crazy, but I will say right now, spoiler alert, he's not my MVP right now, so that's kind of unfortunate. But let's start with talking about Mahomes, since I just went there talking about where he was born, and it's in my name. Anyways, let's talk about his stats he's got this year. Most yards for him out of any quarterback, I believe, 4,208 yards. That's in huge part to the wide receivers and tight end crew that he has there. 33 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. 3 of those interceptions, however, coming in one game against the Dolphins, where he looked a little bit rough at the beginning, but went back right to Patrick Mahomes when and really the whole season he's been who we expected Patrick Mahomes to be. He's been that guy who's been able to make plays, and even if something's there, he can find something to make it happen either with his legs or take the play long enough to find a receiver open or maybe throw it to a running back out of the backfield. Just so dynamic. That's what Patrick Mahomes has done for his entire career. Not much different for him. No surprise he's in this conversation for me.
Yeah, I think that, there's no question about the talent and there's no question about the playmaking ability. It's just, this is not an award that's, the best offensive player. This is or best player in general. It can go to defensive player. This is not the best player. This is the most valuable player. We have an award for best player. That's called Offensive Player of the Year. That can be based on talent and statistics. But when you talk about value, Patrick Mahomes is a very valuable team. But the guy we're going to talk about next, I think, is a little more valuable. But as far as Mahomes, I think Tyler really explained it well. The talent, the supporting cast, the coaching. He's in a great situation. He got paid big bucks in the offseason, historically big bucks. He's kind of like immune to 2020. I think this year's gone pretty well for him, at least in the public sphere, as far as I can tell. So certainly a good time to be Patrick Mahomes. He's got already a Super Bowl MVP under his belt. He's who knows, maybe he'll have another one of those in a couple months. Definitely very possible. We'll see, but I mean, like I said, Tyler really explained it well. I think that Mahomes, he's just so hard to stop. You already know what he's been able to do, but it's something new every game that he's able to do. He's got a full bag of tricks, something new up his sleeve. And with him, even if you lose 30 yards on a sack, it's cool if you're Patrick Mahomes. So he really is a player that's taken the league by storm, and everyone knew that already.
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, I'd like to apologize. I'm doing my best to try to find something with Ryan, but
Oh, it's okay.
I can't find it.
Okay.
That's what I've been scrambling to try to do. But these guys have really explained it well. We talk about the value piece of most valuable player. And don't get me wrong, like Ryan said, Mahomes is a phenomenal player. That's why he won the award 2 years ago. And that's why he's constantly in contention. That's why Tyler chose him to win this award at the beginning of the season. But Aaron Rodgers has brought so much value to this Green Bay Packers team. If you take him away, they're virtually nothing besides Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. And so just because of that reason, if you're thinking the logic that we have, it's almost undisputable that unless something big changes, Aaron Rodgers should be taking home that puppy.
Well, I think they're both going to be able to play consistent football for the rest of the year, and I think it's going to end up being Rodgers, who let's get into a bit more with what he's been able to do this year. 39 touchdowns already, 4 picks only, 69.6 completion percentage in the 13 games that he has played so far. So very good for Rodgers as well. Everything I said from Mahomes really goes for Rodgers. These guys are very similar in the way they play. He's still mobile even though he's at his age, 37 I believe he is now. So he's getting older, but still just as wise, making smart decisions, still just as accurate, can throw the deep ball very well. Trying to win his third MVP, and Mahomes is trying to win his second. So I think it goes to Rodgers at this point. Aaron Charles Rodgers, congratulations to you. You are my MVP heading into week 15 of the NFL.
Yeah, he's all of our MVPs here at the touchdown table. As of right now, as we've mentioned several times, there's more football to be played before this award is handed out. But right now, like Tyler said, and like we all just said, Aaron Rodgers is the MVP right now. I think for me personally, it just comes down to doing more with less. I think Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't have the supporting cast or the coaching or, the system that they have in Kansas City. And I'm not saying Matt LaFleur is a bad coach and none of his receivers are good. I'm just saying it's a fact that Aaron Rodgers has less, and I believe that Aaron Rodgers is more important and more valuable to the Packers than Patrick Mahomes is of that to the Chiefs. Again, Patrick Mahomes is very valuable to his team, but I just think if you take Rodgers away from Green Bay, that team is horrible. If you take, Mahomes away from Kansas City, that team has so much talent and they're so well coached that, they still might be
still
okay.
10-6 or
honestly, who knows? And with that,
still a playoff
with
team without him.
Bieniemy and Andy Reid, who knows? So that's
We
really,
saw last year when Patrick Mahomes got hurt.
when Patrick Mahomes got hurt,
in.
they did win a game without him against the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, that's last year. We don't factor that in now, but I just think Aaron Rodgers, at the end of the day, talent you could debate, of course. These guys, obviously, these guys are at completely different points in their career. Talent is debatable. They both do different things, very well. But I think right now, and I think we all think right now, that Rodgers is just more important to that Packers team than Mahomes is to his Chiefs team. But it's not, lopsided by any means.
Jordan, you got anything to say about Aaron?
You guys have really covered it well. I'm still trying to scramble to find something. I just looked up the Royals owner's name, and I was hoping it would be Ryan, but it's not. So, and I did that because Mahomes is an owner of the Royals.
Yeah,
too,
he
so,
is a
yeah. That's one of the many things he's done this year. Yeah. He's gotten, I almost said divorced. That's not what it is. The opposite of that.
Yeah.
Engaged, and obviously the big contract with the Royal stuff. And he's having a good football season as well. So, all these players, really, 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 really good. really great, really huge. Well, not all huge. But yeah, they've been fun to watch this year, and they've put up a heck of a season. So that's why you get mentioned in this video.
Okay, well there it is, the MVP talk. So far, heading into
That was a great
week.
exit, by the way.
Where
plan.
That was really
that's
productive
after
video, wasn't
14 weeks of football. What we have to say about the MVP picks. You guys already saw week
watch
15,
this.
so maybe one of these guys play even better than expected or worse than expected. Sorry about that if that's what happened. But I think our opinion would still stand with Aaron Rodgers as long as he does not get hurt. Knock on wood. So thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, comment your opinions down below about what we said about these MVP guys and who you believe is going to win the MVP in this 2020-2021 NFL season. Go check out our podcast and our Instagram. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.